everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining. A couple notes before we get going. We do have the app set up to take your questions, so you can go into the session details and you should be able to post questions. After I'm done talking, we'll be reviewing those and addressing them at the end with any leftover time. So my name is Joel Zed. I'm a senior product manager at Appian. Been with the company for about 4 years. We have a couple other folks here. We have Mike, Alex, and Alex, and you'll be seeing them soon. So have you ever tried to have to do a home project and realize you don't have the right tool, right? You go into your garage, you find some janky hammer like this lovely AI generated hammer. Myself, I've been dealing with unpacking after a move to a larger house, and I'm having this happen all the time. And so you may find yourself like me going to Home Depot and spending a small fortune on doodads and tools you might use literally ever once. I've done that. It's not great. The money adds up. You think you're going to solve your problems. You may solve your problems, but you've also spent a ton of money and time that you probably could have recouped, right? So we like to think of cloud native strategy as a way to build yourself a workshop full of tools that you actually need, tools that you'll actually use. And then the AI layer that we've heard so much about today gives you an extra team to use those tools. So you're not spending all your time doing it. So for me, moving to this new house, that was TaskRabbit. For Appian, it's Stratus and Cloud Native. So today we're going to talk a little bit about 3 major points. We're going to talk about how we've used Stratus, which is our cloud native platform at Appian, to make some good changes. Century Fire is going to speak about their automation journey with our AI tools you heard about this morning. And then Mike is going to cover how our managed AI stuff works in greater detail. So Stratus is a term you'll hear thrown around a lot. This is our internal terminology that we're using externally as well for our next generation cloud platform. It is basically, what if we took Appian, decomposed it, and put it on Kubernetes and containers? We view this as a way to set the stage for the future. Robustness, security, new technology. This trifecta of things that allows us to do all kinds of cool things, including all the AI products we're really happy about. We have currently moved about 75% of all customers that were on Appian Cloud to the Appian Stratus platform more every day, literally every day. This is a very simplified diagram of what it looks like, but at a large, high level, we're just talking about taking all the various Appian components and podifying or containerizing them. And then we use Kubernetes to organize those. So like I just said, you can then do a lot of very interesting and cool things. You can use Kubernetes concepts to organize all these containers. And that opens the pathway to a whole lot of stuff. And we'll be going over that. But at a very high level, there's these 3 things we put here for, you're able to balance things automatically. Elastic scale is something that becomes unlocked. We'll get into that later. And efficiency. You can take the signals you have for how things are actually being used and make adjustments to the way your stuff is deployed based on that. And so with Stratus, we're able to do that at scale for all of our cloud customers. Scaling in Kubernetes takes basically 2 forms. There's horizontal and there's vertical. So horizontal scaling is when you add more replicas of a thing in response to the conditions that it's getting. Vertical is actually adding more resources. That would be like CPU and memory based on what you're seeing. So today, at this very moment, we do some of this, and there's some we don't do yet. Appian is complex and stateful, so over time, we'll be adding more and more ways to scale. Right now, we have scalability in portals, AI skills, as you heard this morning, and autoscale for processes, of course, we announced last year that makes use of all this technology. It wouldn't do the magic we want it to do without it. We have for Appian on Kubernetes for self-managed, which we'll talk about a little later. We do have some scaling that's available for horizontal and some for vertical. But our roadmap writ large contains a whole lot of figuring out how to do this for all the key Appian components. And that's something we can all look forward to. So Stratus has also given us an edge on creating things for our customers. And it's not just a matter of creating cool stuff and having better ways to do it, but it's also a security thing. So cloud native technology gives you ability to be more prescriptive about how your things are organized in your environments. So first we'll talk about delivery. We have our AI Garfield here, who's very proud of his pile of Kubernetes logos. So we've been able to do a lot of really cool things. We're really into dogfooding at Appian. We do it all the time. We use Appian. Hopefully everyone knows this, but if you didn't, now you do. We roll out almost anything we build internally first. And when I say internally, we literally are using it, like dogfooding, most orthodox definition possible. That gives us a lot of cool things we can do. Like we can then roll things out piecemeal to customers. So we have a lot of beta programs now, as you heard. We have early access programs. So because of the multi-tenant nature of Stratus, we're actually able to target and deploy things to people who want to try them first. We have a lot of possibilities there. As far as us internally, we can quickly stand an environment up. We can test something. We can do something. We can tear it down. Saves us money, saves us time, lets us iterate and do agile software development in a much more consistent manner. Other things, we've been able to release more frequently. So weekly hotfixes is a relatively new thing, and that's been really cool to be able to provide that to people. Something, like CrowdStrike things or weird, JBoss stuff, like anything that happens that's strange, we're able to, ameliorate very quickly. And also, I think you probably have noticed this, but our weekly releases have more stuff in them. Hotfixes have actually had features baked into them from time to time now. And on AOK, on Appian Kubernetes Self-Managed, we are able to do the same thing now too, which is really cool. Self-managed customers, not only is it easier to upgrade, which we'll get to later, but we are able to publish things at the same cadence. So back to security, I'm not going to dwell on these three logos here, but like I mentioned, having a good cloud native platform in Stratus lets us focus on the correct things. We do things internally using this cloud native technology. We use things like, like Okta, tools that are cloud native first to make sure that our access control is good, make sure that anyone that's touching any of our systems is supposed to be there, right? Basic stuff, but cloud native makes it easier. We're multi-tenant, right? So everyone can use Appian and know that they're not going to suffer from a noisy neighbor problem. They're going to have their stuff in their bucket. It will not interact with other people's stuff. That is a given. It is a guarantee. And like I mentioned a little bit ago, that gives us the ability to roll things out to specific, customers for things like beta programs. Self-managed Appian on Kubernetes. This is my bread and butter. This is what I've been doing at Appian since I've been here. So, we took the cloud, our cloud offering, into a Kubernetes future, but it only makes sense for us to do this for self-managed as well, right? We don't want to be developing for two modalities. We want to make sure that we're doing things the same way across the board. So this came out in March 2022. We brought it to general availability. Since then, we've had a number of customers go to it in production. It is a much more friendly way to install Appian locally. If you've ever installed on Linux or Windows, it is difficult. It can take some time. If you have a Kubernetes cluster or even just Minikube or a cluster locally on your laptop or whatever, it is very possible to install Appian locally if you need to. But at enterprise scale, same thing. We follow the same principles. So we use an operator, which is a Kubernetes concept that basically orchestrates all the containers for you based on a YAML file. You specify. You literally just say, this is what I need, and this is how it should behave. And there's a little wizard that sits in the cluster and makes it happen. It's pretty nice. I'm bearing the lead here, which is that Appian 25.3 will be the last version we ship traditional containers for. So what that means is that those containers, those installers and their hot fixes will be good for that 12-month period of time. They'll be supported for the full lifetime. So we have done a lot of work over the last couple months in particular since we made this announcement in November to beef up our documentation, to add architecture diagrams, which we now have just front and center, resources like that. We have courses now that you can take. There's a whole lot of stuff out there. So feel free to dig in. A lot of it is very, very helpful and should help you understand if this is something you may need assistance from Appian or a partner or otherwise. I already covered some of this, but yeah, the Appian operator is the core of it. You'll hear Appian operator a lot in this context. So like I said, it's the thing that sits there and looks at the state and enforces the state of what you want your Appian to be like. And actually, something to mention here is that this means for self-managed, you're not going to be fiddling with startup scripts or shutdown scripts anymore, which is another thing that can be sort of onerous. This handles all of the niceties of what Appian needs to start or stop for you. You don't even have to think about it. And actually, that also means that an Appian upgrade for the low-code platform for Appian on Kubernetes only takes as long as it takes to download the images, start and stop Appian. So for some customers, this is like a weekend down to 35, 40 minutes. Average I've seen is 45 minutes for a major, not even a hotfix, like a major platform upgrade to Appian. We have a migration tool, so you don't have to go this alone when you start doing it. We have a tool set that runs on your hosts and extracts your data and gets it prepped to be in Kubernetes world. So some disclaimers. There's a difference now in what's available for Appian Cloud or currently Stratus and what's on AOK. Portals, not there. AI skills, not yet. Autoscale, also not yet. There are differences in what we're able to support for self-managed because a lot of what you heard about today and a lot of the things I just mentioned rely on some AWS specific concepts that we can't ship to everyone and say, yes, this will work for you. What that means for how we start to ship these things to self-managed is yet to be determined, but rest assured, we do want all these things in self-managed. Ultimately, AOK should have complete parity with what you would have in cloud. So cloud, of course, has some competencies and benefits other than what I just mentioned. We handle your backups, we handle your, monitoring problems, observability, all these things that you'd have to figure out yourself self-managed. We do in Stratus, and Stratus has made them easier and better. So I'd be remiss if I didn't make the disclaimer that if you can move to cloud, now's a good time, right? We've done a lot to make Stratus check more boxes for more customers. So it's very possible that if you weren't able to use cloud yesterday, you might be able to use it today. And I would highly encourage you reaching out to folks and checking on that. So I've mentioned things that Stratus has enabled us to do, right? Portals, Appian portals, I love this feature, it's very cool. That was only possible because of the Stratus architecture. So, we've been able to do a lot of neat things with portals just because of the Stratus stuff, but one of the things that was really great is when we wanted to get the FedRAMP moderate, that basically took no effort for portals. We were already there. Just by virtue of it being where it was and having been built with cloud native principles, it was basically a rubber stamp. So, we're getting that kind of benefit when we deliver stuff, and that's really nice. The other thing that's cool is that because Portals is tied to the low-code platform, when we update things like the web layer or interface stuff, you get that sort of for free with Portals. You don't have to worry about separately tracking your Portals version or anything like that. Autoscale, like I mentioned before, and like you heard about this year and last year, Autoscale lets you make sure that the processes that you have that are the busiest, that may take the most load, you're able to optimize them, right? Again, only possible because the cloud native stuff we've been doing wouldn't have worked without it. So that's been really cool. It's a good feature. Last but certainly not least is our AI stuff. And the part that I wanted to focus on before I hand things off to Alex and Alex is private AI. You'll hear our leadership talk about private AI a lot, and we view that as a good competency that we have. All these things like the multi-tenant isolation I've talked about, all of the, your data is yours, sovereignty stuff we talk about, our AI work was done with that in mind. And, the Stratus, the controls that Stratus gives us over, all of these sites when we're managing them in our hosted cloud lets us make sure that's all true. We take it very seriously, and it's allowed us to build that. But all that serious and dour stuff aside, we've also been able to build cool things with it, which I'm going to hand it off to Alex to talk about.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon. So this is the last session. It's standing between you, the bar, the epic party, and everything else that's going on out there. So first of all, thank you for attending. Really appreciate it. We're going to keep it lively. We're going to keep it going. Special thanks to all my Appian friends for making the session happen. Put a lot of effort into it, so really appreciate it. So my Appian world started this week with Matt Calkins stating, let's put AI in the middle of everything, right? Let's take your key process, put AI in the middle. Don't let AI be a helper. Let it be the worker. We heard a lot of catchphrases like this over the last few days, right? And to me, that sounds risky, right? That sounds hard. That sounds bold. And that sometimes people get fired over things like that. So it's not easy to take a process that's really embedded in the middle of how you operate and not do a flashy pilot, right? Not do a POC, not do something that's on the peripheral and just, yeah, we're using AI, but it doesn't quite do what we're really focusing on. And so I think to me, being here and listening to the content for the last 2 days, it really made me appreciate what we've done at Century Fire over the last 18 months. And we couldn't have done it with a lot of people here who supported us. So really appreciate our partners, all the Appian team that helped us make it happen. It certainly does not happen without all the support around us. So for us, we decided to automate our accounts payable invoicing, right? And the goal was, how do we automate the processing of it? How do we take it and digitize it? How do we really scale up our back office? Because go back to our company, right? Quick overview on Century Fire. So we're a fire protection company. That's what we do. We're not a software company. We develop simple tools like sprinklers, alarms, fire extinguishers. We service our customers. Our workforce is on the go. It's technicians, right? They're using mobile devices. They're using iPads. They're not sitting behind a desktop. They don't have dual monitors. They're not working in Excel every day. So it's really a workforce that needed a simple solution, almost Amazon-like experience, right? Where it's easy, it's simple, and that was our mission, right? Because at the end of the day, designing a perfect process is not the goal, right? Embedding that process into your operation, that is the goal. That's how you're going to realize value. And in order for something to get adapted, you're going to have to overcome a lot of resistance. The resistance is going to come from commercial operations who do not want disruption. The resistance is going to come from your users who are going to tell you, this is not how we've done things, right? And the way how we do things today are working for us, so why do we need to change? It's going to come from finance people who are going to ask you about, well, prove it to me, why is it really a good investment, right? So you're really going to have to overcome a lot of resistance, especially if you're going to put Appian in the middle of your core processes, if you're going to put AI in the middle of your core processes. So for us, as you can see, we service a lot of customers nationwide. We've grown significantly in the last 8 years, went from 100 million revenue to about 600 million. Growth came from organic and some acquisitions. And so as our operations grew, as we got more customers, more employees, more offices, what didn't grow is our back office, right? In a company like ours, industrial focused, IT, it used to be infrastructure IT. It's, it's give me my laptop, right? Make sure it's not broken and we're good. So it really took a lot of change management. And when I go back to the beginning of my presentation, talking about the risk and really putting yourself out there with putting AI and Appian in the middle of the processes, that's in the different companies, right? That's really what it takes. It's just depending of environment where you operate and how much pushback you're going to get. So accounts, payables, automation, that was our project. And for a company like ours, where we do construction projects, we service fire protection equipment, being able to have a budget and being able to have a timeline of our project is critical. That's what drives our revenue recognition. That's what drives profitability of a project. So for us, it was not about AP efficiency. It was really putting Appian AI in the middle of operations. It's a key way for us to measure success of our business, get transparency, and ultimately get the business value because we can accurately and reliably and confidently say, this is our operational profit, right? This is how projects operate. With the environment what we had before, everything was manual. Our AP department had a low morale, high turnover, and they really struggled just to keep up with the amount of work. Because as the company grew, the only answer is to continue to add bodies, and that's not efficient, that's not scalable, that's not where we want to be if we're going to continue to grow. And also on our some of our opportunities were when the invoice is not being processed, not only you don't have a good profitability in your project performance, but you're also missing on early pay discounts that we could enjoy from our customers, from our vendors. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Alex Shachnovsky, who's going to cover what we did.
Thank you. So what did we do? We decided to go fast. We launched from nothing to production, processing invoices in less than 10 weeks. And that included collecting business requirements, and that included setting up all the API integrations to all the connected systems and connecting to our ERP. So the goal was to go fast, to get some value within weeks, and define that value. And for us, key points was automation and reducing of manual work by AP folks. The other one was decrease in missed discounts, because as processing of invoices delayed, we miss opportunities on paying early and getting a discount, or we get penalized for paying late. So we were able to accomplish those two things literally day one of starting the Appian in production. But how we did that was leverage AI skills back when they were in their infancy. And when we launched with AI models which were trained on Appian's internal data, Appian internal documents. We launched day one, our accuracy rates were 70%. Literally a few weeks after the launch, Appian released a new version that allowed us to train our models on our own data. 3 weeks after that was put into production, we deployed those models, trained on our documents, and our accuracy rate went from 70% to 87%, roughly 6 weeks after we went live. So, and just to give you an idea, we went live in November with 70% accuracy. By the end of January, we were running on a newer version of Appian that was getting us 87% accuracy, which is critical because less validation. Now, we've been on Appian for about 18 months, and we're actively looking to improve, which comes to the next version that we're actually testing right now. This is the one that they called this morning in a session AI Document Center. They keep renaming it, but it is Gen AI. Now, what we're trying to do with it is go above 87%. Our goal is actually above 90%, but we also want to recognize more fields, not just the initial ones we launched with. The other reason we're really excited about the Gen AI is do-it-yourself approach. So we do not have developers training those models. We have mid-level analysts prompting with AI and trying to get that accuracy rate higher. The most interesting thing is the feedback we get is AI is getting smarter as it's processing more data. And that's our goal, because we don't want to be at 90%, we want to be actually higher, we want to be closer to 95%. Our next phase, once we can get higher accuracy rate, is implement what they called this morning was agents, the AI agents, right? This is where we want AI not just to do IDP and give us accuracy on the documents it received. We want AI to intelligently decide who should approve that invoice and assign it to the right business owner to get approval. So not have our AP folks manually assigning cases. So no manual validation, leverage things like data fabric, gather the information, make the decision, and cut one extra step out of the workflow. So that's been our journey. Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Mike.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex and Alex, again for being here and being such great partners with us on this AI journey. It's really exciting to see the transformation that is taking place at Century Fire. As I start my portion of the presentation today, I kind of wanted to take a step back and look at the 10,000-foot view of what we see in the AI landscape and market trends in 2025 and really beyond 2025 as well. One of the first items on here, increased adoption. So when ChatGPT was first released a couple of years ago and broke the internet and took the world by storm, they reached 1 million users in 5 days, which was crazy, fastest anybody had ever seen. Until they one-upped themselves earlier this year and released their multimodal capabilities, and they reached 1 million users in just 5 hours, which is just mind-blowing. We are seeing on the B2B side of things a similar explosion of AI usage. This year in Q1, at Appian, we've done 1.5 million AI executions, which is more than all of 2024 combined. So we're seeing an incredible trend there. Even though we're seeing increased usage there, there's still research that shows that 90% of organizations say they've increased their Gen AI usage, but only 8% of those consider those initiatives mature. So there's a lot of interest, but we need to continue to get out of the prototyping and POC phases and get into production. The next topic is agentic AI, which you would have to be wearing headphones or avoiding every session if you haven't heard of that a little bit here at Appian World. So there's growing interest in agentic AI models, which are capable of independent action, which we've hit on quite a bit throughout Appian World, getting out of just chatbots to help converse back and forth, and giving AI the agency to take actions and perform different workflows when embedded in a process. The third item here is ease of integration. When all of these LLMs were first reaching the market, they were compared against each other and benchmarked on pretty highly technical specs as far as the CPU usage and different performance metrics like that. We've started to reach a plateau where all of them are similar enough that we have to find different ways to benchmark them. There's not much difference across those anymore. What we're seeing is the prioritization of usability, trust, and interoperability with legacy systems is becoming that determining factor there, which we're obviously uniquely positioned to do here at Appian. The last item on this list is specialization. So there will be a continuous focus on changes across people, process, and technology. AI is kind of the great equalizer. In years past, when you're implementing a new technology, there's maybe one department that is usually focused on using that or embedding that within their workflows. It's quite a bit different with AI. It hits every corner of the business, and people across all areas of the business have to be comfortable with using AI, understanding how AI is used, and the value that it can provide. So what are some of the capabilities of the Gen AI functionality that we have so far that's been powered by Stratus? So being able to release dependently. So that's a huge game changer. It's consistent with cloud-native platforms. AI Skills in 2024 had over 200 releases in comparison to the Appian platform, which releases once a quarter. I do want to highlight again, Alex alluded to it earlier, in the early days working with Century-Fire, we identified that new feature to train extraction models from prior data sets, which increased their accuracy. We went from the ideation to deployment phase, got that into prod in under a couple of weeks, something that wouldn't be possible without the Stratus platform. Scalability, that's a consistent theme. We now have the ability to use Gen AI agents directly from auto-scale processes to ensure we're able to tackle your highest volume workloads. And then last but not least on here, a new feature we're excited to talk about is the multimodal capabilities. So this was just released in 25.1. This enables customers to analyze images and other visual elements within your documents. This leverages Claude 3.5 Sonnet and other AWS services on the Bedrock platform. This also allows us to stay at the forefront of AI development, and again, is made possible through the cloud-native Stratus platform. So this has been shared a few times through Appian World so far. We believe that AI is better in process, and process is better in AI. I had a little bit of my thunder stolen throughout the keynotes, so I'm going to click through here. Just quickly touch on these rather than go into a deep dive. I can probably promise you that this will be the last time you'll see the honeycomb at Appian World. I will not promise you that you won't see this again in future discussions. So it's easy to start, right? Embedding AI in process is just a few clicks away with our process designer. Process gives AI structure. In process, AI has a goal, a purpose. It's part of a team. It's got a job to do. In order to do that job, it needs access to data. Through Appian's data fabric, we can explore data all across the enterprise. Included in that is safety. So in a process environment, everything is tracked. Every call, action, instance. Without that, it could be a black box and hard to understand what AI is doing behind the scenes. When embedded in a process on Appian, everything is tracked and it's easy to understand what's going on. The analytics portion is as critical as companies continue to increase adoption. One of the easiest ways to increase adoption is to demonstrate the ROI that it's providing. So without the analytics and understanding there, it could be hard or challenging to get the business on board with why it's so critical to invest. With our analytics, it's very easy to understand the ROI that we're getting out of our AI usage. And then, of course, last but not least, the scalability portions of this that are, again, powered by the Stratus platform. So that's where we're currently at. Where do we go next? So there's 3 features that have been hit on throughout Appian World. I'll touch on them again. AI Document Center. So this is our new out-of-the-box module to accelerate IDP implementation for even the most complex document processing use cases. So we're super excited to work with Century Fire on adopting this. Smart Search allows you to find data anywhere in your data fabric by providing the ability to search at enterprise scale. And then last but not least, Agent Studio. So this was newly announced here at Appian World. This enables you to build, test, deploy, and monitor agents that require that high degree of autonomy. So the level 0 to 3 scale that we talked about yesterday. All of this has been designed, developed, and delivered with an AI native mentality. And what does that mean? So I'm sure everyone in this room is familiar with DevOps or DevSecOps or CI/CD philosophies and best practices. Now with the AI boom, we're kind of transitioning into this next iteration of that, which we can consider AI native. So it's data-centric. We need to have robust data pipelines ensuring the continuous flow of high-quality data. We've heard, the saying, garbage in, garbage out. The value we're getting out of AI is only as good as the inputs we're giving it. So data centricity needs to be, at the very beginning of your designing phase. Model-driven. So AI and ML models are core components during the design phase. Historically, it's kind of been an add-on at the end. We have this app, we have this functionality. How can we put AI into it at the end of the process? Instead, now we need to bring that into the design phase so that we're thinking about that from the very beginning. One of the biggest principles of cloud native philosophy is the feedback loops, right? Shorter feedback loops lead to enhanced performance. Again, you can't have shorter feedback loops without a cloud native platform that allows you to release independently and work closely and iteratively as fast as you can. And then AI skills are a containerized microservice, which fits with our scalability model here. So allows us to scale to meet the demands of our AI workloads. So let's talk about the platform that powers all of this, which is Appian Cloud. We've got 3 core tenets in Appian Cloud, which are scalable, secure, and reliable. And what does this look like in practice? So Appian is enterprise grade. It's meant to run your most mission critical workflows, and you can trust in it. We support 9 million users, 10 billion transactions across 72 different availability zones. We've got a whole slew of different compliance frameworks that is ever evolving and changing. We're always adding the newest ones there. And as Joel mentioned earlier in the presentation, some of the benefits that the Appian Cloud Platform has is that as it becomes certified with these new compliance frameworks, there's very minimal work that our other product teams like Portals, AI Skills, Data Fabric have to do to then be in compliance with these. We also know that legal regulations are changing quite frequently in the AI space. It can be at times hard to keep up with. So let us focus on that so that you all can focus on your business and running that instead of worrying about what compliance frameworks are changing and what that means. Last but not least, we support a best-in-class availability of 4 nines and a follow-the-sun operating model, which provides customers with a 24/7, 365 team equipped to monitor and support your underlying infrastructure to reduce interruptions from your day-to-day business-critical operations. I am happy to announce that Gen AI services now meet our Appian high availability SLAs for mission-critical workloads across all current versions of Appian. I'm also happy to announce that AI generative capabilities are high trust and HIPAA certified, and all Gen AI capabilities are high trust and HIPAA certified, and nearly all Gen AI capabilities are FedRAMP certified, which is currently in flight. Okay, so to wrap up, I wanted to end on a little bit of a lighter note. So we've talked about how AI and process is better, and process is better with AI. If left unattended, you can get into some hot water or slippery slopes with AI. So I wanted to include some of my favorite examples of some AI mistakes over the years. So there's this one here where the chatbot was released for the drive-thru, interpreting everything that you were ordering as 2,000 nuggets. To be fair, that's honestly maybe more of a feature than a bug. I may be okay with that. Another one of my favorites, there's a ChatGPT bot that a car dealer rolled out. Users quickly found that they could, it was overly agreeable, and so with some prompting, they could get it to agree to some legally binding contracts, and of course some no takesy backsies, which is obviously very official. And so this person was able to buy a brand new car for $1, which is pretty awesome. And then for any of you Denver Nuggets fans out there, there was a night that Klay Thompson was having a rough shooting night against the Sacramento Kings. There's a saying in basketball, if you're not shooting well, you're shooting bricks. So Twitter was commenting that throughout the game. AI on Twitter interpreted that as Klay Thompson was actually throwing bricks through people's windows, which of course was not the case. So just as we wrap up, one more reminder, we've got the QR code up here. If you're interested in signing up for the Agent Studio beta program, we are still looking, for more people to join. So feel free to add a submission there. And then I think we have a little bit of time for Q&A.
But I have a dumb question. What is the primary reason you see your customers doing still self-hosted?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Why would they not?
Yeah.
What's the reason for that?
So I'll repeat that for everyone. Yeah.
Real question. We've got a question from Capital Group asking, what are the primary reasons that we do still have customers choosing the self-managed option?
Yeah. So that preoccupies quite a lot of my time, right? So the shortest answer is regulatory stuff, right? Even though we've done a whole lot of work with Stratus to get all those nice badges that Mike showed, there's still things that may just be a corporate requirement. Maybe we have a lot of commercial and banking customers in Europe, and they have a whole different slew of things that they have to care about. And so sometimes it's just hard requirements that are governmental driven. Sometimes it's internally driven. Sometimes those are misconceptions that we're able to clear up and move people over to cloud, right? So it's mostly highly regulated, highly compliant industries, and they either have no choice or perceive that the effort to, try to overcome those things is a little difficult. That's the shortest, most likely answer. I think that's basically what I've seen. Yeah, and we're trying to close that gap pretty much constantly, right? We would love to have everyone on cloud if we could. We know that's not realistic, so we made sure to build out Appian on Kubernetes such that the people that had to remain could. But me and Mike, a lot of the time we spend is on trying to close that gap.
The question is for Century Fire. Century Fire mentioned that with AI skills, they were able to get an 87% success rate in classification. what was missing in that 13% that was left?
So there's a number of fields we try to extract from invoices. So it's just documents that come in. And it was able to read correctly and classify certain fields with 70% accuracy. So the other 30% when we started, it either did not read it or it misclassified it. Typically it's PDFs. Usually no picture, that's correct.
The question was what file types? Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you all again for attending, and we'll see you shortly.